Hello everyone, welcome back to the class. So for this week, let's continue our journey in the world of pre-modern Chinese novel. And we are going to read a very interesting and very playful novel titled A Tower for the Summer Heat. So this kind of love story is a comedy, you can claim it to be, and a very interesting way of describing a love relationship related to technology at that time. So I think in another way, you can also define the story as a science fiction of that time. So the title of this novel is A Tower for the Summer Heat. The author is Li Yu. So this is a cover for the English translation. So let's first take a look at who is Li Yu. So Li Yu is a literatus living a little bit later than Feng Menglong, the author we read last time. So he lived from 1610 to 1680, and he has a courtesy name which is Li Wong, basically literally translated as old man with a bamboo hat. So you can see here on the right, there's a picture, not picture, but a painting of him, and you can see he always wears this kind of bamboo hat. And if you see in other places, when you see Li Wong instead of Li Yu, that also refers to the same person. So a same person with two names or more than two names. And he is from Rugao in present-day Jiangsu province. So not as Feng Menglong, which is in the culture center of Suzhou, but a little bit northern part of the Jiangsu province, but still in that Jiangnan area. And one thing very interesting about Li Yu is that he gave up imperial examination at a very early age. So if you still remember, last time I said for all the literati at that time, their ultimate goal is to study Confucian classics and to pass imperial examination and then to get a position in the bureaucratic system. But Li Yu is different. Even if he knows how to write, he knows how to read, he even studied some Confucian classics, but because of continuous failure and because of he sees no kind of promising future for him in the bureaucratic system that kind of way, so he totally gave up imperial examination. And then he became a playwright, a novelist, and also important, a publisher. So one of the most interesting identity of Li Yu is that he is a successful commercial writer, which is very different from other literati living at the same time with him. So other literati may have now and then write a story or a novel to entertain themselves, but Li Yu is different because he writes for a living. He uses his own writing to earn a living, to make money. So I think you can consider Li Yu's work, especially including the one A Tower for the Summer Heat we're going to read for this week, as one of the bestseller at that time. And Li Yu is just that kind of very popular playwright and authors in his time. And also he has a lot of interest in different fields. For example, play and garden. He knows how to manage a very beautiful garden, and also all kinds of leisure enjoyment. So basically, he's a person who really knows how to enjoy the life and knows how to use his expertise to make money, to write interesting stories to attract more readers and in order to make money. That kind of writer. And a little bit about his own works. So he has several play collections. As I said, he's a very famous playwright. So his play collection including 10 plays of Li Wong, and also he has some short novel collection including the silent opera and 12 Towers. So this tower we are going to read, The Tower for the Summer Heat, is from the collection 12楼 or 12 Towers. So basically from the title you can see this collection is 12 stories. Each one of them is named after a tower and somehow related to a tower. And this one we are going to read is a tower for the summer heat. If you read into the story, you will see actually in the story there is a tower. So that is a pretty smart way to connect all the stories into one collection by putting one interesting trope, one tower into each of the stories. And also he has other essay collection, for example, on casual expressions of idle life, idle feelings. This actually is a very interesting collection. If you read it, you'll see like Li Yu in this collection tells you or teaches you how to manage your own life, how to live a comfortable life using a very limited amount of money, and how to decorate your house using natural resources and using everything you can get access to. So very, very interesting essay collection. Also, he is supposed to be the author of a very famous erotic novel titled The Carnal Prayer Mat. We are not going to read this novel in this class, but just from this list of works, you will see Li Yu is that kind of writer who are there to talking about a corporeal enjoyment, talking about erotic stuff in a relationship. So for Li Yu, definitely a love relationship is not like Platonian, those only spiritual connection, but should have some erotic encounterment and some desire for the body. So that's a very interesting perspective you might need to keep in mind when reading Li Yu's stories. And because of this story, the Tower for the Summer Heat is talking about telescope. So I think that's very interesting for us to review a bit for the history of Jing. So because telescope in Chinese is called 望远镜, but that same Jing can refer to different kind of mirrors or scopes. And that whole history is kind of the bigger cultural background of this story. So let's take a look. So first one, Jing can mean traditional mirror, which is made of bronze. So looks like this. If you go to museum, you'll see a lot of this kind of mirror, and the back of the mirror is a very smooth surface, so you can see your own face in the back of the mirror. And here they show you is a very nicely carved pattern the other side of the mirror. And also the same Jing can mean Western mirror, and that is a mirror we'll see every day nowadays, which is made of glass. So very clearly you can see yourself. Oh, by the way, that kind of bronze mirror is not very clear. Even if you can think of a very smooth metal surface, even if you can see your own reflection on that surface, it won't as clear as when you see in an actual glass mirror. And also the Jing later can refer to the glasses. So the glasses we wear every day, or refer to the telescope, the 望远镜 or 千里镜, the telescope we saw in this story, the exact telescope Jiren used to find his love. And later, the same Jing is used in talking about a microscope, in Chinese 显微镜, the same Jing, and so on. So you can see there is a kind of distinguish between look into versus look through. So thinking about a glasses, when you wear glasses, you actually look through a surface, a Jing. But when you look into a mirror, you are look into a surface. You are look into a surface to see your own reflection. So either look into or look through are performed by the same character, the same Jing in Chinese. That is why you're thinking about telescope in nowadays idea. Telescope, that is something you need to look through to see something else. But for Chinese living at that time, they consider a Jing to have both function. You can either look through and look into to see your own reflection. That kind of double meaning of Jing is very interesting, and you can actually see how it functions in the story. So for the actual telescope, they are brought into the Qing China, so like 18th century, 17th century, 18th century China by Jesuit missionaries. So this is actually a picture of that. So the telescope looks like a long stick. And also the same jing, not only they can refer to the thing you look into or look through, that can also mean the same pronunciation is the same as referring to your eyes. So the same jing can refer to both the mirror and the eye. So telescope also has a strong connection with the eyes from that perspective. So it is used to look at different things, look at things which is pretty natural, like to do observation of the nature. That is actually what we use telescope these days. But at that time, people believe you can also use telescope to look at people or principles. So telescope has a moral judgment when you use telescope to look at things. So that kind of belief is kind of interesting. And also, you can use telescope to look at past and future, and understanding history and to provide prophecy. Because telescope is brought by foreigners into China at a pretty late age, it's not originated in China. So people will have some magical imagination about telescope. That is why they believe you can use telescope to look at people, principle, and past and future, like some magical tools. You can see your future into it, that kind of idea. So telescope at that time is much more miracle than our time. So that's why I feel I said at the very beginning of this lecture, this story can consider as a science fiction at Li Yu's time. Speaking of science fiction, I think we need to talk a little bit about telescope as technology and how technology influence our idea about daily life experience and our characters in the whole story. So first, how does technology enhance or manipulate our daily life experience? So can we understand technology as an extension of our body? Or if we use telescope as a technology to look, how does the direction goes? Which means, does the telescope brought things close to us, or the telescope brought us close to the things? So that can go both directions, and which direction that story provide us with and represented the importance to us. And also, who is a dominator? So basically, what's manipulated in this love relationship? By the technology, or by human intention, or by other kind of situation or other factors? So I also posted this question on the Moodle discussion. If you have any thoughts, please leave a comment there. And one more thing is about the gaze, because the whole story is, if we can kind of summarize it, you can consider it as a male character look at a woman and fall in love with her and eventually get her as his wife. So that kind of gaze, the idea of gaze is very important for the whole story. So first, we should discuss whose gaze are we talking about. Is that the male character Ji Ren's gaze? Or is that Li Yu as the author's gaze? Even if Li Yu as the author didn't jump out in the story said, hey, I'm the author, I'm the narrator, I'm telling you Ji Ren is look at something. But we know for any story, there's always an author or a narrator. So who is actually perform this kind of gazing action? Or could that kind of gaze actually from us readers? Are we actually through Ji Ren's eyes to look at Serena's body and how that process goes? So I think whose gaze is a very interesting question to think about. And also, what actually does he see? Does he see the female characters like Serena's or Serena's mates? Or does he focusing on body? whose body? Or does he see the forbidden? So thinking about the tower and the intention of building the tower or building the fence around the tower is to forbid outside gaze onto the female characters. But now our male character Jiren, through technology, is he able to see the forbidden? And what is considered forbidden? And how that process goes? That is also a very interesting question. And lastly, what is a gaze driven by? Is that driven by desire? If so, desire for what? And also, we're talking about gaze as looking at something from a distance. But does this kind of gaze imply some desire for touch, especially in this kind of love story, especially in the case of Jiren and Serena? So I think all these questions are pretty interesting and lead us to think deeper about how the relationship between sense and love and characteristics, how these kind of relationships is formed in the whole story. So one more bonus point I want to make is draw from the essay collection of Li Yu, Casual Expressions of Idle Feelings. So I pasted two illustrations here. These are the original illustration from the book Li Yu wrote. And you can see on the left, there is Li Yu's way of using the natural environment as a decoration for your own room. Because at that time, literati will always have some painting hanging on their walls to showcase their taste or their love for art. But Li Yu said, if you are too poor to buy excellent paintings for decorating your house or decorating your room, one good way to do it is to have a window facing the trees or the flowers just outside of your window. So when you look in a distance, you can see the nature is framed by your window. So they looks like a painting. And that is the best painting you can get for your room. And that painting will change through seasons as well. So a best painting made by the nature and also an everlasting, won't be bored kind of ever-changing painting. That is his way of decorating the room or using limited resources to have a decoration for your room. And the illustration on the right is, he said, if in the winter or in the fall, late fall, you'll see all the leaves are falling, the nature is no longer pretty, maybe the color of the trees is not what you like, you can make another painting to put exactly at that window to take that as your painting. So at the time when the nature is no longer pretty, you can put on your own painting. And when in the spring or in the summer, the nature is so excellent and so fresh, you just take down that painting and to enjoy the nature as the best painting. I raised this example to show you Li Yu is that kind of person who pays extra attention to vision and how to manipulate vision to get extra enjoyment. That also kind of represented in the love stories we saw this week. So how manipulation is going on in the story, and especially the manipulation of vision, manipulation of senses, and also manipulation of people's emotions. So that's about it. I really hope you enjoy this week's story. So as a comedy, as a very entertaining kind of science fiction at that time. So don't forget to leave comments down below, and I will see you in Thursday's class. Bye!